Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be breaking down Juuse Saros against the Seattle Kraken. This is from last night, and this is the first big save of the game. Let's watch that again. So this is going to end up being bang, bang, high pass to low pass backdoor, but freeze frame it here, and let's take a look. So Juuse Saros, you can see his right pad and left pad are both elevated here. He is jumping up to his feet to come out at that first option. So he's got forward momentum here, and then he has to C-cut and get his boot rocketing backdoor and get his glove in a saving position. Now, a really common mistake you can make on a play like this when you have no time to get to where you're going is to start pushing before you actually set up your whole angle, right? Before Juuse Saros pushes back to his post, he has to flip his entire angle of his body by C-cutting with his left boot all the way to the post before initiating his push. He gets this done so fast, and he does it fully and pushes exactly to where he needs to go to give himself a chance to make the save. A less experienced goaltender might get frantic, feel that lack of time that they have, and start moving before their angle was set up. So I'm going to go to the whiteboard here and exaggerate this concept for you so you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. So if we have a puck that's going to travel across the center line of our net, I'm going to show you how we get that done. We're going to have to C-cut first and flip our angle, right? And that's what I'm going to show you here. We can only travel in a straight line with any sort of speed as a goalie because we have to angle our skate and T-push. So we set up our angle first and then rock it to where we want to go. When the puck flips to the other side of the ice, our angle has to flip entirely. So if we don't C-cut fully first and go back to our post to create an equal and opposite angle like this, then we're going to end up flat when we land. But the advantage is we'll gain more depth. Is that worth it? Let's take a look. So I'm going to set up both options for you, and the way I'm going to do that is the size of our goaltender is always going to be the top of my eraser. So the size of the goaltender is always going to be the same, and I'm going to draw the correct goaltender in green and the incorrect goaltender in red. Now, I'm going to draw what net we give up here. And you can see that if we rocket towards our post and then gain no depth afterwards, we're probably going to give up a little bit of net on both sides, but our angle is correct. We can trust our blocker and our glove to try to make this save. If the shooter does give us time, bobbles the puck, or we realize this isn't a one-timer, we can then double C-cut forward, like we see in red, to gain depth on the proper angle. But why can't I keep my depth, Jim? So let's take a look at what happens if we take a shorter C-cut and then push over on a flatter angle, land at a flatter angle, but with a lot more depth. Okay, the result is, if we draw the goaltender the exact same size, the top of the eraser, we're going to end up covering the same amount of net. So why can't we do this? Why can't we just take the depth that we want anyway if it's going to give us the same result? In fact, you can see from the drawing, maybe we're even covering a little more net. Here's why. I'm going to illustrate for you the distance our left boot has to travel to end us in the spot we want to be, given the difference in angles and depth. And you will easily see the difference here. When I draw the travel distance from left boot to left boot landing spot for both of these plays in the optimal position, and then I erase the rest of the board, we're going to find out why we can't gain depth before we change our angle. We have to gain depth afterwards. I'm going to measure by Rice Krispie treat. In this first line, our proper line is exactly 2 Rice Krispie treats, but the second line is 2.25 treats. Now, this effect is exacerbated the more depth you try to keep. So, if you try to keep all of your depth and actually push straight across the ice just like the puck, you are going to land short 9 times out of 10, and you are going to get ripped short side. You are going to be left on your knees wondering why you failed geometry in high school. You just don't have a good grasp. If you had a good grasp of geometry, you would have cut your whole angle first, rocketed back to the post, and only if you had time to gain depth afterwards, then you would take your depth. So how does Juuse Saros use this concept in this play? It's a lot different, right? Well, you can see he changes the angle with a sharp C-cut and then pushes his boot directly back to his post. That is the right thing to do on a backdoor pass like this. However, he gains depth as well. How does he gain depth? He can't gain depth with his feet because he's on his knees, but in this situation, you can gain depth with your shoulder, arm, and hand. You can lean over the top of your hips and stick that glove out, telescope it forward. The further forward it goes, the more net it's going to cover. And because you set up your angle properly in the first place, the further that glove goes forward, the more it perfectly covers the entire net, and your arm, your body, and your shoulder are behind it doing the exact same thing. That is how Juuse Saros makes this save in a bang, bang, quick situation. Excellent footwork, excellent understanding of where and when to use his hand and his glove, where to put it, when to telescope, when to come back. This guy is so f***ing good. Let's look at the setup. Alright, so personally, I think this looks way better with the white jersey than it does with the yellow jersey. Because the pads are completely solid yellow, which shout out to Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't know if this is paying homage to him. You know, Marc-Andre Fleury was the first kind of cheese wheel sort of pad coming in with the cheddar right on the ice. Juuse Saros has brought that back, and he's worn these pads for a couple years now. Now, when he's in the white jersey, honestly, this is like an A- setup. This looks really good. I think this is like, I don't even know, 4 Henrik Lundqvists out of 5 with the white jersey. But when he wears the yellow jersey for the Preds, this kind of looks like shit, because then he's just, his whole body is an entire cheese wheel. I think when he's in that yellow jersey, he's got to have a secondary set of pads, because the score goes so far down. It goes from 4 Henrik Lundqvists out of 5 to like literally 1.5 Henrik Lundqvist out of 5 because it just does. There's no breakup of the color. He just looks like one big yellow piece of shit in the net. Okay, so A++ for the execution on the save. Remember, angle, C-cut, before the push, before the depth gain. He did it in the right order, and he did it so fast. Holy crap! Was this guy on something last night? I don't know.